New Alderidge is the kind of city that chews you up in the daylight and spits you out in the rain. Doesn't matter if you wear a collar or carry a pistol, every man's got a debt. And sooner or later, someone comes to collect. That's how Father Malone landed in my lap. A priest with a taste for the horses and a talent for owing the wrong people. His name came to me through Nicky Two Toes, a thug who'd lost more than just money to gambling debts. Normally, I'd have laughed it off. A priest in bed with bookies was the kind of joke the city told every day. But there was something about Malone's debt that stank worse than the gutters. Turns out it wasn't just money changing hands. It was faith, period. Blood and something older than the city itself, and holy enough to make devils take notice. So I lit a lucky, strapped on my shoulder rig, and started walking. Should have known it would end the way they always do, with bodies on the floor and me holding the kind of prize no man walks away from clean. Rita came bustling through the door like she always did, cutting through the haze of cigarette smoke and last night's regrets. "I've typed up the last case file for you, Frank," she said, dropping the folder on my desk with a little too much satisfaction. "Did you give yourself a big rap for that right hook, Rita?" I had it under control, but I'll admit that was the clincher. "I may have mentioned it," she said with a sly grin. "Would have been ashamed to ruin the red dress, so I had to end things quick." I pulled the pack of Luckies from the drawer, gave the bottom corner a flick, and one popped through the foil. I set it to my lips, struck a match. The amber flare lit the room for a second before the smoke swallowed it whole. Rita walked past, coughing into her hand. "Geez, Frank, open a window before you gas us both." I slid the sash up, the frame groaning like it had been asleep for years. The draft pulled at the smoke, dragging it out into the wet street air. "Any new cases come in yet, Rita?" She leaned against the desk, arms folded. "Just a stack of old ones, Frank. Safe to say we won't be crashing any high society shindigs for a while. Back to digging through dumpsters and tailing deadbeats. That's where I do my best work, baby girl. That high society stuff, it ain't for me. Pays well, though." Rita cracked a smile just as the little brass bell over the door gave its sad, tinny ring. "Hey, Frankie, you about?" The unmistakable nasal voice of Nicky Two Toes. Better thug than gambler. Got his name from owing more than he could pay back, and the rest got collected in flesh. Now he's a part-time enforcer, part-time debt collector, and full-time trouble in a cheap suit. "In here, Nicky?" "Frank, it's been a minute," he said, that mobster twang curling every word. "You got time to help out an old friend, or are you two—" He paused, giving the place a slow once-over. "I was gonna say upper class, but looking at this dump, I've seen cleaner prison cells." I took a slow drag and cracked a grin through the smoke. "What have you got for me, Nicky? Don't tell me you're missing another toe you need found." Nicky smirked, but his eyes stayed cold. Now, Frankie. Remember who you're talking to, Betrayal. I got a job for you, if you want it. Father Malone's been ducking me, skipped out on his last wager. I checked a few of the usual spots, but no luck, and I don't have the time to go chasing him down. "Now, Nicky," I said, narrowing my eyes through the smoke, "I'm not chasing him down so you can put a beat down on him." No, Frank, honest. If you find him and he's got the cash, just bring that. I make too much money off the degenerate to hurt him too bad. And if he doesn't have the cash, then me and the father need to have a different conversation. All above board, Frankie, honest." I took a slow pull on my lucky, let the smoke drift, weighing the odds. But Nicky jumped back in before I could decide. "Here's 200, he said, tossing a roll of 20s onto my desk. "Another 2 when you find him. Good for you." Unfortunately, Nicky isn't the kind of guy who hears no very often. And when he does, it's usually followed by, No, please stop. I'll look into it, Nicky. But if I think it's going sideways, I'm out, okay?" "No worries, Frankie. Just there's been some broad hanging around him. Not the type that ought to be keeping company with a degenerate priest, if you catch my drift." I slid open the top drawer of my desk. It squeaked just enough to make the silence uncomfortable. Pulled out my notepad, flipped to a blank page. The smell of stale coffee drifted up. My own little perfume for late-night work. This broad got a name, or at least a description. Nicky leaned on the desk, eyes half-lidded like he was watching the picture form in his head. Always dressed like she's stepping off a runway. Red hair, the kind that catches the light like copper in the sun. Long dresses that leave little to the imagination. Never the same one twice. She's got that smile that says she knows what you want before you do, and she'll let you have it for a price. I jotted it down, underlining red hair. Not sure what her deal is, Nicky went on. Haven't been able to dig up much. But I'll tell you what, Frankie, she's too young, early 30s maybe, to be keeping company with a degenerate priest like Malone. There's an angle there. There's always an angle. Nicky Two Toes left the room. Deal was done. No need for further consultation. Find the priest. See what the girl's up to. Maybe she's involved. Maybe there's another angle no one's seen yet. First stop, Dot. St. Augustine's down on Garrison Street. Still had that old-timey look about it. Stained glass windows in a city with no sunlight, and enough rain to wash away the sins, just not the secrets. The church was empty. Candles flickering on the altar, casting a warm, heavenly hue over what was otherwise just another corner of the fresh hell they call New Alderidge. A nun made her way down the aisle toward me. "May I help you, my child?" "I'm looking for Father Malone. He about?" "Oh, I'm sorry. The father has been absent for a few days now. The police are looking for him." "Yeah? What police are we talking about?" "Oh, Detective Bannon said he would look into it personally. He's a major donor to the church." "Yeah, I bet he is. You know of any place the father might go to lay low?" No, I wouldn't have the faintest idea. I'm sorry. You mind if I check his office for a moment? Maybe Bannon missed something." "Oh, that's fine. It's just down the hall to the left. I heard there's been a broad hanging around him lately. You got a name?" "Oh yes, Dot. That's Miss Marquette, Evelyn Marquette. Lovely lady, Dot. Though she did seem to be around the father a lot more lately. Well, Dot, at least until he disappeared. I haven't seen her since then either." "Do you think she had something to do with it?" "Not sure. Need to find out more about her first. Thank you. I'll make my way down to his office." The office was decorated in heavy-handed faith. Crucifixes on most walls, a stained glass Last Supper above the desk, open Bibles stacked like unfiled evidence, papers everywhere. I pulled open a drawer and tilted my head as a half-drunk bottle of Old Crow bourbon rolled against the figures. I looked around some more, flipping through his notepad. In the back, scribbled in a shaky hand, period. 1 p.m. The Silver Lantern. Dated for today. The Silver Lantern was a sleazy little speakeasy hidden under a pawn shop that hadn't sold a ring since the Depression. They just never bothered to close once Prohibition ended. The kind of place for folks who need to drink but don't want anyone knowing about it. Where hope goes to die, and if you're lucky, someone might take a chance on you, right before they twist the knife. I stepped in from the back alley. Neon beer signs buzzed like tired hornets, spilling sick blues and dying reds across the walls. Every so often the dark lit up with the amber flare of a match, the tang of phosphorus mixing with stale whiskey and bad decisions. By the bar, Dot, Father Malone, and the dame. I grinned. Easiest money I ever made. Or so I thought. I strolled over, tapped the bar. "Bourbon, 2 fingers, no ice. And one for my friend here." The father looked up. "Thank you, my son." "Don't worry about it, Father Malone. I just made a bucket load finding you." His eyes widened over the rim of his glass. "Who sent you to find me?" "Nicky Two Toes. Said you skipped out on a debt. Best thing here is you hand me the money, and I hand it to Nicky." "Thing is, my son, I don't have it." "Well, that's a conversation between you and Nicky." The dame rose from her stool, drifting toward me. Her hand traced along my shoulder and across my back, light as a whisper, but cold enough to raise every hair on my neck. "And you must be the broad," I said. "The one that's got the whole parish whispering." "Well, Mr. Mercer, or can I call you Frank?" I gave a slight nod. "Funny thing, doll, I don't recall telling you my name." She grinned like she had the upper hand. "When you're the private investigator everyone's whispering about, it gets hard to keep a low profile. I was at the gala for the Elysian Society. Tragedy, absolute tragedy." I lit another lucky, the flare catching in her eyes. "I used to be the in the shadow slipping through the alleys. Now I'm the headline pinned to the front page. Can't sneak when the whole damn city's watching." "Well, Mr. Mercer, what are your plans for the father?" "How about you answer one of mine, Red? What are your plans for the father?" My eyes slid to Malone, head down on his arm, 2 sips away from tomorrow's hangover. "Him?" She tilted her head, that perfect red hair catching the bar light. "Sometimes a girl just needs to make things right in her life, Mr. Mercer." I took a sip of bourbon. "How much does he owe Nicky Two Toes?" $1,000, I said flat. She placed a manicured hand on Malone's shoulder, gave it a slow rub. "Then I'll pay his debt." "That's mighty generous, Red. So long as Nicky gets his money, I don't care where it comes from. I'll call my driver. We'll go to my place, and I'll give you the money there." She drifted off to make the call. I slung Malone over my shoulder and walked him toward the front door. The weather was the same as always. Cold, wet, gray. Like the city had forgotten how to smile. I leaned Malone against the wall to relight my smoke when, crack, a tile next to my head burst into powder. A small shard took a piece of my cheek with it. Crack, crack, more shots. I dropped Malone. He hit the pavement like a body in the East River. Drunk, but not dead. Bang. Crash. A window near us shattered, raining glass across the alley. 2 men in balaclavas sprinted from the dark. They grabbed Malone before he knew which way was up. I moved to rise. 2 pistols leveled on me froze me in place. They stuffed him into a black sedan, slammed the door, and vanished into the rain. What the hell was that? Couldn't have been Nicky. I was about to get the money. Means I either had a tail or the dame wasn't really calling a driver. Frank, are you okay?" She came running out, threw her arms around me. Her perfume cut through the stink of cordite and rain. I heard gunshots and just froze. It was terrifying. "Is the father—" "Malone's gone," she gasped. "Not dead. 2 guys with irons stuffed him into a black sedan." She let out a sigh. Hard to tell if it was relief he was alive or disappointment he wasn't. "My driver will be here momentarily," she said, smoothing her dress like nothing had happened. "We should go to my place. We'll be safe there, and I'll still give you the money to settle with Nicky." The car came quick, long, and black, engine purring like it didn't belong on these streets. We drove into the hills behind the city, where people had as many secrets as they had money, and both weighed heavier than stone. Red's house was lavish. Marble stairs, oil paintings with eyes that followed you. It was decorated in early money and betrayal. Like the family fortune was built on bones, and she was here to collect the interest. Evelyn wrote the check, slid it into the pocket of my trench coat hanging on the rack. She sauntered back over, hips swaying like a metronome built for sin, and draped herself against me, arms around my neck, cheek pressed to my chest. Today was terrifying, Frank. I've never heard a gun that close, let alone have them pointed in my direction. She sighed. "Hold me, Frank." I wrapped an arm around the small of her back. She exhaled heavy, like the city had finally dug its claws into her. She tilted her head, those big brown eyes peeking out beneath the red curtain of her hair. Then she kissed my cheek, not the kind that said thank you, but the kind that didn't ask permission. The kind that promised trouble and dared you to want more. After accepting Red's thank you, it was time to head back to the office, give Nicky his money, and maybe, just maybe, keep digging for the father. Nobody was paying me for it, but maybe it had earned me a check mark upstairs. Couldn't hurt. Red threw her arms around me again, holding tighter this time. When will I see you again, Frank? I peeled her off gently, lit a lucky. That all depends on how much trouble you plan on causing between now and then, dollface. She pouted, lower lip trembling just enough to be rehearsed. I'll call tomorrow if I hear anything. You are going to find him, aren't you? I blew smoke toward the ceiling. Good chance the fish find him before I do, but I'll keep looking. Thank you, Frank. I told the driver to drop me at the father's church. Had some things to check before heading back to the office. The nun from yesterday came running, skirts pulled up, urgency in her step. Oh, Mr. Mercer, point. Thank the Lord you've returned. Calm down, sister. Keep your... I caught myself, remembering where I was and who I was talking to. What's wrong? Please, come quickly. She led me to Malone's office. Trashed. Papers everywhere, drawers gutted, crucifixes torn off walls like they'd offended somebody. When did this happen? Maybe an hour ago. 2 men in ski masks stormed through. Sounds like the same pair that shot at me and Malone earlier, before they made off with him. Anything missing? I'm not sure. I haven't had time to check. You call the police? Yes, Dot, but they've yet to come. Leave it with me, sister. See what I can dig up. She left me alone. Hard to tell what was missing. Receipts, parish notes, a name scribbled in the margins. Tommy Russo. Bookie. Works out of a closed back room in a laundromat. I jotted it down. My eyes scanned the walls. Odd. A clean circular patch stood out against the faded wallpaper. Something important had hung there. Sister. She hurried back in. What was here? Her face drained. Oh, Dot. Oh, dear. That was the halo of St. Lucius. I thought it was just a replica. Why would they... Before she could finish, a bark cut through the room. Mercer! What the hell are you doing here? Detective Bannon. Always looking like he'd rather be on the other side of the bars he policed. He stormed in with 2 boys at his back. I should have known you'd be sniffing around. Boys, get him out of here. I stepped forward. Back off, Bannon. I'm the one that found the priest in the first place. Yeah? And where is he now, Frank? 2 guys in ski masks dragged him off outside the Silver Lantern. Nearly took my eye out on the way. Priest was drunk, couldn't fight back. And you just let them take him? I lit a lucky, took a drag. Relax, Bannon. I'm not catching bullets over a drunk priest in a $200 retainer. Get him out of my sight. One of his lackeys shoved me toward the door. I turned, locked eyes with him. Give me a reason, Sam. I'll give you those 2 black eyes your mother warned you about. He froze, period. Hand still on my coat. I shoved past, out into the hall. The sister caught my arm, slipping something into my pocket. Her voice was barely a whisper. I was going to give this to the police, but after that, I think it belongs in your hands. I left the church. I didn't need another run-in with Bannon. There's plenty of time in life for those little moments of joy. A block down, I stood under the awning of a pawn shop that hadn't seen a paying customer in years. I lit a lucky, let the smoke crawl up into the rain, and watched. The cops finally spilled out of the church, stumbling over each other like drunks at last call. Another crime scene filed under unsolved. I took note of every car that pulled out after them and the ones that didn't. If anyone was waiting for me, I wanted their plate number tucked in my notebook. Coast looked clear. I slipped my hand into my trench pocket and pulled out the folded piece of paper the sister had slipped me. The debt will be paid in blood or faith. At the bottom, a wax seal in gold. The imprint read, R.F., the Russo family, a name that kept popping up like a bad rash. The paper was smeared with blood. Fresh enough, Malone's, I figured. The situation was escalating quicker than the city's sins washing into the East River. Now I knew who had the father. Hopefully just a case of figuring out how much he owed the Russo family and sorting out a way for him to pay. Best head back to the office. My head was pounding. Maybe it was the flickering neon over the pawn shop. Maybe too much bourbon last night. Maybe not enough. Either way, Rita would be worried by now. Walking through the city was like stepping through a minefield on a wet day. Heavy, tense, ready to blow at the slightest wrong move. That's when I spotted it. A black sedan. Drove past me 3 times now. Plate matched one of the numbers I'd scribbled in my notebook. I kept walking. It parked ahead. 2 men inside. No masks. Not yet. I crept behind the parked cars, knees aching loud enough to give me away if the rain didn't cover it. The driver's window was cracked open. Let's take option A. Hit first, ask questions later. I sprinted up the side of the car. Whack, whack, 2 clean shots to the driver's face through the open window. Blood gushed above his eye. I yanked the door open, dragged him out by the collar. The passenger fumbled with his belt. Too slow, I slammed the driver against the car. Who the hell sent you? The man spat at my feet. Whack. My fist sank into his ribs. Heard one break. He dropped, gasping like a dying fish. I ran around the hood. The other man was halfway out when I front-kicked the door. His head ricocheted off the window. Glass and blood poured down together. Pulse still there, but he wasn't going anywhere. Back to the first guy. Dragged him up by his coat, slammed him against the car. Tell me who sent you, Sam, and you can walk away. I ain't telling you nothing. Whack, another rib shot for good measure. He coughed blood, eyes bulging. Talk, what do you want with me? It's not you, Uck. It's the old man and the church trinket. The halo stolen this morning? Yeah, boss wants it real bad. Russo already has it. Why are you chasing me? We ain't Russo family, he said in that wise guy tone. I cursed under my breath. More crime families in this city than people to fill. Then who the hell are you working for? His lips trembled. I don't know her real name, just she goes by Red. He whispered it like someone might be listening. Before I could press further, splat. The back of his head painted the car. A sniper round. Clean. I hit the deck, crawling between parked cars, glass biting into my palms. My sleeves smeared the blood off my face, but the stink stayed. Christ almighty, what the hell is going on here? I sat there 5 minutes, maybe more. Hell, I even had time for a lucky. Figured if I was going to die from a sniper round, I might as well enjoy myself on the way out. The burn warmed my insides like a furnace while I crouched in the rain, watching blood drip down my sleeve. There was an alley across the street, cutting behind a strip mall. Sniper couldn't tag me back there. Might take a shot on the way, but that was the risk. I pulled one last drag, let it sit in my lungs, then blew it out and made my break. No shots. I slipped into the alley, breathed deep, and headed back toward the office. The jangle of the little brass doorbell set Rita on me before I'd even hung up my coat. Francis, where the hell have you been? Oh my God, what happened? Are you all right? Yeah, baby girl, it's not my blood, but I'm damn sick of people shooting at me today. Why are people shooting at you, Frank? She asked, cocking a brow. Who'd you manage to piss off this time? Not me for once. I'm just a guy in the right spot at the wrong times. I found Father Malone easy enough at a cheap little speakeasy. The dame that's been hanging around offered to cough up the grand for his debt. We're about to get in the car, and suddenly there's lead flying and heavies pointing guns everywhere. Russo family grabbed the father. The Russo family? Yeah, who saw that coming? Anyway, the dame still wanted to pony up for the debt. We went back to her place and she cut the check. I pulled the envelope from my pocket and tossed it on the desk. Oh, I see. You went back to her place, did you? Well, I had to thank her personally, Rita. She shook her head, smirking. Oh, Frank, bullets flying, priests missing, and all you can think about is the next redhead in line. Don't worry, it's not what it's cracked up to be. Turns out the car tailing me worked for her. Found that out right before the guy's skull popped like a melon from a sniper shot. I think that about catches you up with my morning. Oh, wait. I leaned back in my chair. You ever heard of the Halo of St. Lucius? Rita frowned. Can't say I have. Me neither. Turns out Malone had the real deal mounted on his wall. Russo's boys trashed his office and stole it. Left this behind. I slid the blood-stained note across the desk. Rita unfolded the blood-stained letter, read it aloud. The debt will be paid in blood or faith, she smirked. Bit dramatic, don't you think? These mob boys really ought to hire better writers. It's got the Russo family seal on it. Too many mob families these days. This city needs a new hobby. Yeah, but then what would you do with your days, Frank? I poured a bourbon, let the warmth soak through me, burn away the rain still clinging to my bones. Rita came back with a wet cloth, started wiping the blood from my face and hands. Her touch was firm, like she was scrubbing away the trouble I kept walking into. So what's the next move, Frank? I still gotta get the father point. Maybe I cash that chit one day with the big man upstairs. She rolled her eyes. Frank, you can't gamble your way into heaven. Can't hurt to try, come out. I set the glass one. Call Nicky Two Toes, tell him I've got his money. That gets one family off our backs. Me. I'm headed to a laundromat run by the Russos. See if I can find the father. Maybe stop a war breaking out over the Halo. Rita smirked. Just saving the city on a daily basis, huh, Frank? Somebody's gotta. Rita stuck her head through the office door just as I slipped the holster straps over my shoulders. The Colt sat heavy on the desk. Frank, are you seriously going down there with a gun? You know how I feel about carrying, baby girl. But the way today's gone, I've got a bad feeling about the rest of it. So don't go, Frank. You don't always have to run toward the bullets. I holstered the Colt, pulled the trench over the top, walked over to Rita, kissed her cheek. I'll be back, baby girl. I forgot to tell you, she said quickly. In all the commotion this morning, Nicky Two Toes has been beaten senseless. I couldn't get him on the line, so I called Murph. He says it's bad. Nothing that's about to happen here is going to be good, Frank. I can't leave the priest there by himself, Rita. I kissed her cheek again, softer this time, and stepped through the front door. Maybe the last time I'd hear that little brass bell jangle behind me. I stood across from the laundromat, watching. Let the rain-slick streets and the glow of neon steady my thoughts. A lucky dangled from my lips, the smoke calming me the way nothing else could. Rita was right. Nothing good was about to happen here. I flicked the butt to the ground, crushed it under my heel, pulled the pack from my pocket. One left. I flicked the bottom until it popped through the foil, stared at it a moment, sighed and grinned at the same time. Maybe today's the day I quit, I muttered. Slipped it between my lips, struck the match. One way or another. I lit up, crossed the street, and pushed through the laundromat door. Two men straightened the second I stepped through the door, like they'd just been called to arms. Relax, boys, I said, hands low, calm. I'm not here for fire, just a priest. Let's talk about what he owes and how we can get you your money back. A white door creaked open behind the washing machines. Out stepped an elderly man in a tailored suit, cane tapping against the tile. Well, if it isn't Frank Mercer, private investigator, the city's hero, no less. His voice was coated in that obnoxious mafia drawl. I'm no one's hero, I said. Just a guy in the wrong place at the right time, nothing more. I'm assuming you're the head of the family? Sorry, don't know the name. I am D'Angelo Russo, he said with a shallow bow. And what can I do for the great investigator? As I told your boys, I'm not here for a fight. I just want the priest. We can work out his debt. Hell, you've already got the halo. Surely that covers it. Russo's lips curled in a humorless smile. Surely you understand, Mr. Mercer. In my business, there are no in-betweens. I have the halo of St. Lucius because I wanted it, not because he paid me with it. The idiot didn't even know it was real. And he still owes me the $5,000. 5 large, I muttered. That's steep. Is he at least still in one piece? Russo gave a nod. One of his men left, then returned dragging Malone into the room. Bloodied, battered, but alive. Father, you still with us? Malone raised his head, gave the smallest nod. Then the doorbell rang. Through it walked Evelyn Marquette, red, dressed to kill, 5 hard boys at her back, all carrying. "Hello, Frank," she purred, smile sharp as glass. "Didn't think I'd see you again today. After sending a sniper, I figured you thought I was out of the picture." She brushed the back of her hand across my cheek. "Oh no, Frank. He was never meant to shoot you. Just stop those idiots from talking." I was actually looking forward to our next encounter. Her eyes cut to Russo. "But business comes first. Russo, I want the halo. You're outmanned and outgunned. Hand it over and you get to walk out of here. Or at least hobble in your case." Russo chuckled, and more men poured in from the side door, pistols drawn. The air went tight, guns raised on all sides. "Oh, Red," Russo sneered. "It's you who's out of her depth." I stepped forward, palms out, trying to carve a path through the madness. "Gentlemen, lady, let me get the priest out of here first. This doesn't have to turn into a bloodbath." Mr. Russo tugged at the revolver on his hip, slow and shaky. Bang! The shot cracked wild, ricocheted off the tiles. No one saw where it went. Everyone flinched, hands up. Father Malone stumbled forward, blood running from his lips. He raised his hand weakly, sketching the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in the air before coughing red and collapsing in the center of us all. Dead. That was the match. I lunged, drove my fist into old man Russo's face. Nose broke under my knuckles. I don't make a habit of hitting old men, but he just killed a priest, accident or not. Then it was chaos. Fists, bullets, screams. The white tile floor turned slick red, bodies piling. I ducked behind a washing machine as lead shredded the air. One round slammed into the steel beside me, spraying sparks. Flashes of the war came back. Explosions, dirt, the stink of blood. Red dropped down next to me, clutching something to her chest. "Frank, help me. I've got the halo. We can run. Start fresh, you and me." She held it up, solid gold, dripping blood. Then her face changed. Oh dear." She looked down, blood soaking her dress. "Hold me, Frank." She slumped into my arms. I really was looking forward to tomorrow." Her eyes went blank. I kissed her cheek, gave her one last squeeze. "Sorry, baby girl." So was I. I drew my Colt, teeth clenched. Only 4 left now. One crept around a washer. Clear shot. Bang! He dropped. 2 left. Gunfire cracked and metal screamed. Another man fell, glassy eyes staring at nothing. His friend dropped to his knees, shaking him, wailing. Someone put 1 round through him. Quiet again, except for the buzzing of busted lights. Just me, and 1 more. "Come out, Frank," a voice snarled. "I know you're still breathing. I want the halo." "I can't," I groaned in a blatant lie, but maybe he was dumb enough to buy it. Took a shot in the thigh, bleeding out. "We don't both have to die here. We can walk separate ways." "Not without the halo, Frank. Give it to me, and you can crawl out of here." "Come and get it. I can't move." A pause, then, "All right, Frank. I'm coming." Christ, can't believe that worked. He came around the row of machines, gun leveled. I sprang from behind the washer, wrapped an arm around his throat, dragged him back. His elbow smashed into my ribs, slammed into the machine. Glass from the busted door carved into my back. I didn't let go. He staggered, wheezing, dropped to his knees, went limp in my arms. I let him fall, lifeless, onto the tiles. I stood there, chest heaving, taking in the carnage. The laundromat soaked in red. Bodies everywhere. For what? $5 grand and a gilded trinket. Whole city burns itself down for less. A sound. Murmurs. I turned. D'Angelo Russo, crawling through the mess. The old man dragging himself toward the door, blood and dust on his suit. "Hey, old man." He looked up, fear in his eyes. I moved closer. "You killed a priest tonight. Over a debt. Over a halo." I swung my boot like I was kicking a field goal. Teeth scattered across the blood-soaked floor. Russo collapsed, wheezing, bubbles of red foaming from his nose. Alive, but barely. I leaned on the washer, smoke of cordite still hanging heavy. Maybe I'd live to regret letting him breathe. Time would tell. Sirens screamed through the city, closing in fast. I grabbed the halo, slipping through the side exit, took my shoes off at the door, didn't want to leave a blood trail for them to tunnel. Coast was clear. I padded barefoot through the alleys, coat over my arm, the rain scrubbing me clean of everything but the weight in my hands. By the time I hit the office, most of the blood had been washed away, but Rita still looked at me like I'd come back from the grave. I dropped the coat on the rack, tried to look halfway respectable, but she saw right through it. I went to the desk, pulled the bourbon, a glass, and a fresh pack of Luckies from the drawer, slumped onto the sofa, let out a sigh that felt like it came from the bottom of the East River. "Do I want to know what happened?" she asked. I unwrapped the halo from my coat and dropped it on the cushion beside me. Solid gold, soaked in Evelyn's blood. This is all that's left. Evelyn, the priest, 2 families, gone. Nothing but debts and forgotten dreams now. "Maybe it'll be a few weeks before another family moves in," I said, pouring another bourbon. "Maybe we get a moment of peace in the meantime." I lit a Lucky, hand trembling, eyes fixed on the smoke curling up from the cherry. Rita sat down beside me, eyes on the halo. "What do we do with it?" "We wait. Then we give it back to the church. They lost Malone. Least we can do is return the relic." She studied me for a moment, softer than I deserved. "You're a better man than you let on, Frank." The halo of St. Lucius sits heavy on my desk, a lump of gold that cost more lives than it ever saved. Funny thing about relics, people talk about them like they carry grace, like they're touched by heaven itself. All I saw was blood on the tiles of a laundromat and a priest who never made it out. Evelyn Marquette thought she could buy herself a new life with it. Russo thought he could buy respect. Malone thought it might buy forgiveness. Me, I don't buy much anymore. Not faith, not luck, not even peace. All I do is bury the dead and drink enough bourbon to keep their faces at bay. It's going back to the church. That much I know. They can put it behind glass, light candles, and call it holy. But no amount of prayer will wash off the blood I saw on it. The gold belongs to them. The ghosts are mine. I light another Lucky and watch the smoke curl toward the ceiling. Tomorrow some other fool will knock on my door, and I'll answer. That's what I do. Until this city finally cashes me in, I'll keep walking toward the bullets.